is Nelson County. As my bio says, I was born in real poverty. I mean, we'd have to call it extreme poverty. My mother was deaf. My biological father, well, he had no part in my life. My stepfather, bless his heart, happened to be, he was an alcoholic. Didn't want to be, but for most of his life he was, and it didn't work so much. My grandfather, my maternal grandfather, my mother's father, he pretty much took care of us. Came down once a year from Washington, D.C., bought us school clothes. So I think there are a lot of grandparents that over the years have been absolutely so important to, particularly for African Americans, I think, to make sure that they got that, that solid teachings and some food and clothes and that kind of thing. I went to Nelson County High School and ended up at the University of Virginia for one reason and one reason only. I'd like to say that I wanted to be the first one to go to college or to such a nice college in the family. I think I was about the first one to go. But my real reasons for going was Miss Coinberg. I think after my 10th grade geometry class, we were about to go home for the summer. And she was going around and asking people what they were going to do, the students, what they were going to do after college. So after high school. And I couldn't think of anything. I was very shy at the time, by the way, debilitatingly shy. So a couple of my buddies that I was in Upward Bound with, I was in Upward Bound as well. They said they were going to go to the University of Virginia, so I just said the same thing they said. And she said, well, I don't believe you have the aptitude, Charles. She didn't mean that in a mean way, that now that I see that, but her saying that really hurt my feelings terribly. It was the last day of school. I couldn't wait to get back to school. I went in and talked to my guidance counselor when I got in back and asked him what it would take to go to the University of Virginia. And he told me I should maybe consider some other schools because that was going to be a really hard task. But what he did say, you'd have to have straight A's, you'd have to have at least 3 extracurricular activities, and you'd have to be have excellent attendance. Now, up until then, I wasn't that high on school. I did okay, but after that episode, I did get straight A's. My first year, I did go to Lincoln. I missed UVA, and I still had to do straight A's. So I did straight A's for 3 or 4 years, 3.8, I think, 3.9, something like that. Ended up at the University of Virginia, which was my goal after Ms. Kornberg said that to me. I think the message in there is, how, we hear a lot about how do you handle, adversity, how do you handle criticism, and that kind of thing. I'm not saying that was the best way for me to handle it. I mean, she pissed me off so bad. I mean, she pissed me off for 5 years. With one statement. And right now, Ms. Kornberg is one of the most important individuals, personalities that I've known in my life. I went back to see her after graduating from the University of Virginia, and all I said to her was, yes ma'am, I did graduate from the University of Virginia. She had totally forgotten about the conversation that we had that day.
Big family? How many brothers and sisters?
Well, okay, here we go. I grew up with 2 brothers, and then about 10 years ago, I told you my biological father didn't have anything to do with my upbringing. Well, then I found out I had about 5 more brothers and a sister that I had never met during my childhood. One of them right now, we're one of my best friends, a big supporter. He was a sergeant major. His name is Russell. And handsome as he can be, just as kind as he can be. And even though I didn't know him growing up, we have so many similarities in terms of the things that we like and the things we like to do. The thing I love about my brothers, this particular brother, is his integrity, his work ethic, his compassion for people, his belief in a higher power and that kind of thing. Because he just want to do right by people. You know, he's an amazing person. Glad to have, so proud to have him as a brother. So yeah, had a whole bunch of them. So you begin to see how interesting, you know, my background is.
Yeah, well, you know, like the old joke from comedian, I think it might have been Bernie Mac, and I can relate to poverty. But he says, I was taught, not poor, because the OR in the choice. I was just taught. And so, walk us through what level, because we have different levels, I guess, of concept of what, you know, poverty is.
Okay.
And, you know, a lot of the people that are going to be watching are struggling financially, but like, they don't understand that in comparison to some of the things that our elders have went through prior to our current arrival, was insurmountable. And academia was really the only way out. Because if you didn't, otherwise you're going to be in the streets, you're going to have to do something nefarious because there were no other opportunities. And we haven't talked about the racism that you faced as a child as well. Speak to us about that, beloved.
Yeah, I can remember when I first realized that I was black. I was playing in the yard, and the school bus came by. I think I was probably, I don't even think I was in school then. I was maybe 5. I was always very curious and alert, and you know, people used to say I was smart, right? But you know, me and my brothers playing in the yard, and some bus drove by, and I heard nigger, 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 nigger. All right, so I go in the house. My mother couldn't hear it, but you know, she read lips. So I asked my mother, you know what that meant in so many words, and she said, "Boy, get on back up there and play. You all right." So almost not even acknowledging it. So for most of my life, I really haven't paid that much attention to it. Didn't really sense it until that strongly until quite recently. You wouldn't have been able to convince me that it was that big of a deal until I ran into a few things where it was pretty obvious. It was mostly in I guess in business. But what I found too is this racism. It just doesn't impact, you know, people of other colors, or it's also our own folk are pretty racist too. The attitudes, the hatred or seeming hatred, envy or whatever you want to call it against each other is pretty poignant and really probably the most devastating when you know when a black person treats you like a nigger, so to speak. You know, that's pretty pretty awful. Now, in terms of the poverty, we didn't have running water, we didn't have a phone, we didn't have a car. There were times when we only had
running water. How did you drink, bathe? What did you?
No, we took water from the spring. So the spring was, that's why I got real strong, man. I was strong, man. Because on wash day, you gotta tote these big things, and we had to gather wood, and you know, this system that we're living in, or you know, the society that we're living in, to give you an idea of how it impacts us. We would be in the house freezing, and we got Sherwood Forest right over here, but we didn't go down there and pick up wood off of the ground because You know, we didn't want, you know, because the white man might get you, you know, or somebody gonna say something. So in addition to not having all of these things, the thing that I recall, and I didn't know it at the time, there's a lot of wisdom and there's a lot of love in the family and in the community, but the ignorance and the fear, and just endemic, it's just in you. The superstition, it's debilitating. You know, in some of these communities. I mean, we just poor and dumb as we could be, frankly, and so we don't get the encouragement from. They say it takes a community, a village to raise a child. Well, in a very poor community, I don't know exactly what that really means. You know, you can eat and you have a roof over your head, and that's a big deal. But then, if you got talent, for instance, I was really good at art, so I had people flying and want to get, you know, wanted to give me scholarships and all of that, but we can't afford that, man. Couldn't afford any of that stuff. So I worked my own way through college. I couldn't afford my high school ring. There were times when I didn't have anything to eat at lunch. Now this gets to sounding a little sad, but I wasn't sad, man. The love of my mama, there was a lot of love and loyalty, and that's the one thing that I've always been is loyal. I learned not to lie or cheat and all that. My mother couldn't hear, so even if I lied or if I said something that was wrong, like you couldn't cuss and that kind of thing. If I did that, she would never know. So I learned to, you know, to be honest, and not to lie, not to cheat, not to steal, you know, because I couldn't stand the thought of telling my mother something that wasn't true when I knew that she, you know, because of her handicap, she would never ever be able to find out anyway.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful, my brother.
It is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, I had that kind of mom as well. It's like, okay, I did what I made 3 promises when she passed, and that was I'll never do drugs, I'll never involve myself in gang activity, and number 3, I'll make something of myself. I've kept all 3 promises. Not the easiest promises to keep because I grew up in the crack era, so that was a very difficult thing to do.
Well, I'm glad I didn't make good promises.
Yeah, I get it. You ought to play it back, right? Anyway. So, all right. You're in college. You make it, if you will, you make it out, but you're still struggling. How are you making money? How are you feeding yourself, supporting yourself? What's that part of your journey like?
I worked. Because of my grades, I got a decent part of my education was scholarship, and then, you know, I got a grant, government loan. So my first year was pretty rough. My first year in college, I went to Lincoln University over in Pennsylvania, and so then I transferred to UVA. You know, I had to go to UVA because of Miss Kornberg. Once I got to UVA, the tuition was very low, and so I had a pretty good financial package. But in addition to that, I got a job at for 2 years, I think, of my time there. I worked for the U.S. Post Office, and they were back then. This was in the early '70s, man, and they were paying $13 an hour. You know, and I took all the late night stuff and the holiday stuff where they paid like, I think, time and a half or 2.5. And so frankly, by the time I got to my 3rd year of college, I was actually doing pretty good because of the loans, because of the scholarship, and because of what I was earning over there. I think I made about $50,000 my 4th year in college at UVA.
And that's like $150,000 to $200,000 today.
Maybe
a year.
About 150.
Yeah. Wow, that's incredible. All right, so where did this drive? One,
Well, it's this incredible love for my mother and my grandfather, who just they fed me, man. I had a good, my brain worked, man, ever since I can remember. Even when I was a little rascal, man, my brain is working, right? And I always had like everybody else, I've got the emotions as well. You know, one of the things that was a poignant memory for me was, you know, you go to school, and many times I didn't have any money for lunch, but I did like milk. And most days I didn't have any money for milk either. And it's pretty, you know, that food smells so good, and I'd have these little, you know, potted meat sandwiches. So it's always good to have some milk. One day I'm going, you know, to school, and I asked my mother if she had any milk money. I think at the time that can of milk was like $0.25 maybe. And she took that little quarter out of her little raggedy apron, and she handed it to me and put it in my hand, and she held my hand, she looked in my eye, and she says, "Mama, I love you. I wish I could do more for you." And that touched me so deeply that I said that I'm going to do more for you when I grow up. The other time was one Sunday morning, I think it was Easter Sunday, and she was putting up the drapes in the living room. And I think I was about 10 or 12 then, and she brought me over and set me on her knee. You know, I was halfway standing up, and she asked me, she says, "I want you to be a good boy." I said, "Yes, ma'am." "And I want you to," she says, "you're going to take care of Mama when you grow up?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." "You going to get Mama a house?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." And, you know, I really meant it. Of course, it took a while before we got there, but wasn't that long, like 20 years from that day. I was handing her the keys to the house.
Wow, beautiful.
So these passions, I think it's extremely important that these passions, we all have these passions. It's the same thing that allowed me to recruit and train and work with people, because, you know, this deep love that I had for my mother, I knew that other people had that for their mothers and their fathers too. They wanted to be special. They wanted to make them proud of them. And so I just you know, as I looked at what it would take to, you know, to do what I wanted to do for my mother, it led me to these passions and the spiritual principles. I'm like, man, I gotta get God on my side here, you know, in this world, right? But these passions that I speak of, we all have those passions, you know. And these people that hurt our feelings, like, you know, Miss Conberg did hurt my feelings. I had an aunt that hurt my feelings. She said, "You come from a long line of," I'll just quote her, because she had been talking to my mother and wanted to tell her to do something. I was out of college then, and living in a subsidized housing with my mother. I think the rent was $51 a month. So after I left college, things for a few years got worse than they were before I went to college almost. And I'm a grown man, you know. So this aunt, I'm not angry at anyone. I'm not holding any issues. This aunt, Miss Conberg, everybody that has ever hurt me up to this time in my life have helped me more than they hurt me. Because when she said that I was from a long line of no good niggas and you just gonna be a number one, I made up my mind that day that no matter what I had to do, I'm gonna prove her wrong. I knew I couldn't lie and cheat and steal and do that and get in trouble and stuff, because that takes it all away, right? So I had to do it right. I couldn't play basketball. Well, I'm a good ball player, but you know, I'm not 6'6". So sports was out. I can't dance. I can't sing. I ain't no liar. I ain't got the heart to do drugs and sell drugs and that kind of thing. So I ain't got no heart for the crime crap. So I had to figure out a way to do it the right way. And what I found out is that, you know, that motivation that you get from the already inherent passions is enough. You simply have to find something that is legal and that is good for you and good for other people, and that doesn't that can pay you enough money to get you there. You know, and for me, that turned out to be insurance. Now, I didn't run over there. I didn't look at the insurance business and say, "Oh my God, look at that! I think I could be successful in the insurance business." No, my stepfather was dying. We had just gotten off of the floor on Jefferson Street, and lady nice enough to let us sleep on her floor. So we were at the intersection of Briggs Road and Eastern Avenue. My stepfather was dying of cancer. We were eating potato soup, and so things were rough. I'd just gotten fired from Kmart Corporation and gotten tired of going out and saying that I was looking for a job when I really hadn't. Even though I was still looking for a job, I got tired of just telling them. I know that's crazy. And so a friend of mine called me and said, "Hey, you ought to go down here. This company, Mutual of Omaha, is hiring." I'm like, "Man," no, at first it was Prudential. I'm like, "I'm not interested." I didn't know anything about insurance. Then he calls back. Well, by the time he called back, things were just bad enough. He said they'll give you $150 bonus or something if you pass the exam. So I went down and passed the exam in 3 days, because I just got a UVA, so that little exam was nothing. That guy gave me $150. I like the insurance business ever since then. I've never not been in the insurance business since then. We still have our agency.
Wow. And so how old were you when that happened?
22?
My goodness. My goodness. Okay. So, as they say, the concept of the dog on the nail. Why is the dog just howling on the nail? Is why it didn't hurt bad enough. At some point, for you, it hurt bad enough. Is that right?
Yeah, it was hurting all. Yeah, it was hurting all the time, man. I mean, you know, I can remember Christmas. You know, and I ain't got no car. I take the last $20 I got in my pocket and give it to my mother. And I go downtown and I see these mannequins in Bloomingdale's and these other places. And, you know, it was almost as if they were looking at me with a sneer, looking down their noses at me. I seen people drive by in their nice warm cars filled with presents, and we ain't got nothing, man. It's cold, it's hard, it's rough, I'm half-ass hungry, I ain't got no money from my mom. And find myself down at a club or something, or doing some other ridiculousness, man. I can't tell you how many times I woke up with somebody laying down there, and I'm thinking to myself, what the hell am I doing? What am I doing? Going, hanging out with these guys, man, you know, 2-hour lunches, and then going to the happy hour. I'm like, what am I doing? The exciting thing is that early on, when I left Mutual of Omaha, I ran into a man by the name of Clinton E. Lewis Jr. I'd been looking for a black millionaire, man. I thought W. Clement Stone was that, but later found out that he wasn't exactly black. But Clint Lewis, when I was over at Prudential, some guy came in talking about the business insurance. And this guy was making millions selling business insurance. You know, so I heard that. I got really excited, man. I'm like, whoa, I want to do the business insurance stuff. So our office was in Rockville. I went up to Wheaton, which is about 10 to 15 miles away, I guess. And I knocked on every door, every business door with my little shy self. And, you know, a couple of times people laughed at me when I walked out of that place, man. And I knocked on all of them, and I don't remember what I said to those people. I think I said something about I'm with Prudential, and I'm here to sell you some business insurance, something like that. And nobody bought anything. So the second day I come into the office in the evening, and or the third day, and Clint Lewis was there. You know, he was very successful. And he was the top guy in the Central Atlantic Home Office. He was the most incredible black man I've ever seen. I like the way he walked. I like the way he talked. I like everything. I wanted to be him so bad. I'm like, I want to be.
You smell like this.
Oh, he money man. And so I didn't say, I never said nothing to him. There was a bunch of young guys in there. So one evening he comes in and he says, "Your name Charlie?" I'm like, "Oh God, what's going on here?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Can I talk to you for a moment?" I'm like, I cannot believe. We called him the king. He had this big, beautiful office, man. He'd have a seat. So I sat down, and he says, "Somebody told me that you were knocking on doors, business doors, over in Wheaton. Is that true?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Well, how many of them doors you knock on?" He said, "I think I knocked on all of them. I might have missed one or two in like the big high-rise building, but they had the codes or something." He said, "You knocked on all of them?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Boy, you got a lot of guts." "Yes, sir." He says, "You know a little bit about me, don't you?" I said, "Yeah, you're the king." I mean, "Yes, sir." He says, "You know, all these guys around here want to know my secret. How do I make all this money, Charlie? Do you want to know too?" I said,
Yes, sir.
"Yes, please." So he said, "Now, if I tell you my secrets, you gotta promise me something before I tell you my secrets." Now you gotta understand, this guy was a hero. He was like a superhero to me. I couldn't even believe that he was even talking to me. And so I I don't answer quickly when I have to make a commitment. I'm the kind of person that do what I said I'm gonna do. So even then I was like that. So I didn't see any harm in saying, "Yes, sir, I will do what you say if you share your secrets with me." So he says, "All right, you promised me, right?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Well, number one, you have to promise me, you have to commit that you're going to succeed. Can you do that?" I'm like, "Yes, sir." He said, "The next thing you got to promise me is that as you succeed and when you succeed, you have to keep an eye out and the door and the light on and the door open for every other little Charlie that you run into, male, female, no matter what. You have to promise me that." I said, "Okay, yes, sir." He says, "I'm going to tell you my number one secret, Charlie." I couldn't wait. I'm like, I didn't know what it was going to be. He says, "Here's the deal, Charlie. I call a man up and I go sing. And then I call up another man and go sing, and another one, and another one, and another one, and another. I do it over and over and over and over again. And that's why I'm successful, Charlie. It's called work." I was like, "Oh man, you gotta be kidding." I thought he was gonna have some easy way for me to get this done, man. Then he gave me a ride home in his Cadillac. I'd never ever been in a car that nice. And he became my mentor for many years, still is for that matter. And because of his direction and his guidance and his encouragement, I mean, he cussed me out a few times, asked me what the hell is my problem. "You got everything you need, Charlie. Decent looking guy, you got good education, a good head on your shoulders, you're healthy. What the hell do you want? Somebody to do it for you?" You know, he made me commit to always doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do. Yep. To bring honor and pride to not just my family and my community and the country, but to my own being. He said, Charlie, if you do, you know, what you admire, then you respect, you're probably going to admire and respect yourself.
Well said. Well said. You know, you had this loyalty in you that you developed because of the loyalty that you had for your mom and for your grandfather. So that I think is what has and still does sustain you. And I think that's one of what you call a USP, or one of your unique selling propositions of who Charlie is. That you are loyal to doing the right thing, and whatever that cost is, because let's face it, it's a cost to do the right thing. It ain't easy. It's not easy. It's noble, but it's not easy to do the right thing. So here you are, making a call after a call, going to see each of these people, each business, each person. When did you begin developing the teams? When did you start seeing some level of success from your efforts and developing? You know, you already kind of had that work ethic, but your mentor really instilled that work ethic into you. When did the fruits of that labor begin to show up in your life?
The fruits began to show up immediately. Perseverance, resilience, integrity, you know, character. You know, when you do the right thing, and when it hurts and you do the right thing, as you would say, that develops. Well, I guess it reveals character, but it really does develop this inner strength. It was years, man. I'd like to say that it was like that, but no, it was years. I got fired, and it was just year after year of coming up short, and girlfriends that dumped me, and family and friends that no longer believed in me, and you know, bills that I may not have been able to pay. My brother loaned me money once, and I could not pay him back, and he just humiliated me one day. And riding around in a car that didn't have insurance, and all that, man. So, yeah, but I didn't stop reading, you know, these books, and never stopped praying, if you would, talking to God, and so it's just, I think after a while, you know, what happens, man, is, you know, we kind of know what to do, but is that, you see that dog in that nail? Yeah. So we don't really do what we know we can do. We keep cutting these corners. Maybe not cutting a corner, but you know how it goes. You know, it's like, I said I was going to get up at 5 o'clock. I got up at 5 o'clock 2 or 3 days. And then on the third day, I'm like, man, you know, one day I can just hang out for a day. And before you know it, that day has turned into several days, and then weeks, and then months, and then years. And I can't tell you how many times I had roommates that I probably couldn't stand, but I had to pay the rent. I can remember moving one time, and in return for the move, I paid the guy my furniture. I didn't have the furniture, so I moved with nothing. So, and then one day I came in hungry as I could be. And I remember I'm getting fired, all kinds of stuff. Prudential fired me. I lost Clint. It's just, I just thought it was the worst stuff out there. Right? It just, my mother's health wasn't great, and it was just tough, man, rough. And then one day it just came to a head when I was just humiliated, like once again, because some people were eating, and I think the gal, you know, threw the leftovers in the trash, and I almost reached into the trash to eat that. because I was really hungry. But I just thought that was a bit much. The only reason I didn't reach in the trash and eat it was because I knew she would see it and laugh. So I went back into my room and started cussing God out. And I had, some people, it's probably just my imagination, but I had some kind of epiphany, felt like God talked to me. And I actually believed it was God, frankly. And God said that, call my name. Whatever it is, his voice called my name and asked me, what did I want? It scared me. It scared me because, I'm a superstitious person. I thought, oh my God, I done messed up now. Because I called them all kinds of sons of bitches and all that kind of thing. But I've been reading these books, listening to this tape, doing all this stuff, doing the best I could, doing it right. And you sitting up there with that old son, and it seems like everybody else is fine, and I'm sucking like a dog. And went through this little conversation with God, and at the end of the conversation was that what your hands are found to do it with all your might. Just do it the best you can. Stop slacking. You know what to do. You know how to do it. You just haven't been doing it. So we got to bring it all to the game. Not just going through the motions. I mean, you can call people. I used to call people, man, and my mind, it went like this. If I called the person, I didn't expect the person to answer the phone. If they answered the phone, I didn't expect them to give me an appointment. If they gave me an appointment, I didn't expect them to be there when I got there. If they were there when I got there, I didn't expect them to buy. If they bought, I didn't expect them to keep it. You know what I'm saying? And so, one time I had 90% of the people I sold in a year canceled. And through paying very close attention, through my mentor, Clinton Lewis, calling me Jack the Bear, you're making tracks because you ain't getting nowhere, Charlie. I made a change, man. I can't even tell you exactly how that works, except that I would call it I developed the will to win. The will to win. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna really, really try to win. All right? I'm gonna take everything that I know and I'm going to apply it in my life. and I can tell you now, that started with goal setting. My first goal was just to be able to stay where I am, and that wasn't that much. Hell, I think I could stay there for just a couple $100. But then I had, okay, well, you got that goal, now what is it how would you like to live though? Like if I'd like to pay my mother's rent, I'd like to be able to get me a decent car and all. The thing that I remember about is I wanted $500 a week spending money. Now I'm still in my 20s, so $500 a week of spending money would be really, really good, right? And
sure, absolutely.
And
at any age, I think would be.
yeah. So
What's up?
I can remember the first day after once I saw my goals, what the activity required would be, but more than the activity is the mental attitude, is the will to win, and the willingness to go the extra mile, and take your eyes off yourself and put it on other people. So when I was making these calls, I would when I figured out that I needed about 8 appointments a day, mind playing all kinds of tricks on me. But not just 8 appointments, but 8 good ones. I figured with 8 good appointments, I'd make about $3,000. And so, what my mentor taught me a couple of years ago, I started to apply. He says your trash can has to be your best friend. And so, and then you have to picture who you're going to see and what you want to see happen. He told me that I had that we all have this all-powerful idiot. I think Napoleon Hill will call it the subconscious mind. Other people call it other things. But my mentor called it an all-powerful idiot, whose job it is to get done what you want to get done. He said he'd gotten so good at it, at picturing his success, that when he went to see people, they looked like the person in his mind. and so I started applying that stuff, and I can tell you now that that it works. So for 7 years or thereabouts, I'm scratching, I'm struggling, I'm hurting, it's rough. And then one year I went from $5,000 for the whole year, and then the very next year, my accountant tells me you're a millionaire. So that's I'm reminded of the Chinese bamboo tree. Yeah, I think that's what they call it. This is this little tree that you plant. You plant the seed. It takes 5 years before it comes up. And but the 5th year, it grows 120 feet in 6 weeks. And we have to understand these laws of the spirit, the laws of nature, that and apply them the best we can. We can't always be like really good at it day one. You may have to go through some things, and but like you say, there's a price. All right, it ain't easy to do the right thing, but it ain't easy to do the wrong thing either. Once you understand, the law of mind, there is no getting. You cannot escape. There is no getting over.
You can't get out of life alive, huh?
You can't get out of life alive, and you can't do wrong and expect a right return. I think people call it karma or whatever it is. Even if it doesn't appear in your bank account or whatever, it is going to have an impact on your character, on your spirit, on your strength, on your heart, on your soul. This stuff is real, man. It's the reason I was able to endure, the rigors of our business, and to teach other people how they could do the same thing. I mean, I've taught tens of thousands, probably somewhere near a couple 100,000 people that, these what I call these principles. They're not my principles. They're everywhere. The principles of sowing and reaping, I didn't come up with that. What you sow, you reap. It wasn't me. The laws of reciprocity and contrast, the laws of going the extra mile, I didn't come up with that. But I saw them being applied in the world. Clint taught me a lot of it. And what I did was, it's like this. I might not have been able to do what I've been able to do so far if it wasn't for other people. I'm telling you, if I didn't have that thing for my mom and my grandfather, I don't think I could have handled it. I couldn't just go get some money, man, and then somebody come and take my mom and take her out of that house. I had to do it right. I couldn't take that. And these guys that I teach, I can, some of these guys, I had one of my guys, man, haven't seen him in many, many years. Once CSO, always CSO, Charles Scott Organization CSO. You tell me he got his leg cut off, right below his knee. I mean, these guys call me, man. It's like, I love these people, man. I love them first. I was loyal to them before I even met them. So you got, I can't do the wrong thing. You feel me? Because
Absolutely.
I've got to be.
You can't turn your back on.
I'm not going to turn my back on them. But the main point I want to make now is they're looking at me as for the example. Over the years, they're looking at me as an example. I knew that there was two things that people wanted more than anything else. They wanted someone that was dependable and predictable. And to me, loyal people are like that. So I wanted to be to them what my mentor was to me, and what I thought a person that they needed. I'm trying to say it a certain way. I don't know if it's coming across like I wanted to. These guys, I would be at the office before they were there. And this was after I was I was doing well. Okay, I mean, I'm really well, hundreds of, yeah, really, really well. And I'll be the last one to leave. And so if it hadn't been for them, if it hadn't been for the people around me, I get, even to this day, I get my strength from the people that are like in our organization, those guys that are loyal, you know, that hang in there with me and we go through the rain together. They earn my loyalty and my respect and my admiration for eternity. I don't recruit a person to come in and I recruit forever. You know.
Yes, yes. They're your brothers and sisters for life. They're your brothers and sisters for life.
Forever. Here and in the next life. These principles will not change. The universe is not going to change. Birds of a feather, spirits, like, what do they call it? Like spirits, you know, are going to be attracted to each other. So there is no reason ever to say that, you know, the one thing I just wanted to create was an organization where we never have to say goodbye. You know, so even when we pass over, I mean, I got a guy sitting right here. If we passed over now, I still want to hang out with him. And I think he probably want to hang out with me. And there are other people that are like that too. You know, kindred spirits, that's what I was looking for. These kindred spirits. I think we need to get the long view in this world because it takes so long. Right now, you know, we've been working on this company for years. And, you know, so now I'm thinking about my kids and grandkids, but not just mine. These guys, their kids, their grandkids. So, like if I buy this land over here, I may not see that land, you know, do what it do. But my son can and my grandson can. And I get a little bit of pleasure out of that. Man, you got me running my mouth hard.
Man, I'm loving it, bro. I'm loving it because you know, this is good stuff, man. This is food. This is food.
It's real.
So then, where does Dr. Dudley come into your space in life during this time? And how did he impact your life?
Well, one of the things, man, that I always look for is like, look, I love white people, I love all people, but the black people, the brothers, you know, the ones that I have a special place in my heart for them because they are experiencing what I'm experiencing. So when I look for a millionaire, someone that could teach me, look, I like all of my white millionaire friends and those that inspire me, my brothers. But they can't relate at a level that I can't explain to them. I mean, they may be able to relate a little bit, you know, if somebody, you know, is fixing a meal of steak and eggs, etc., and you know, they give somebody else beans, you know, in a tin plate. They may be able to relate to that. If they're the one getting them beans in a tin plate, they know how that thing feels. But you know, this black experience, I'm looking for a guy that not only is black, but started poor too. Right? Because how did you get out of poverty? How did you leave that mindset and then get to where you are? And I want to be around, you know, a person like that. It was something that I was looking for early on. So that was this event over at the Majestic Eagles, John Ray. I don't know if you know him. He was a broadcaster. I think he was in Chicago when he started out. But he had this thing called the Majestic Eagles, and Mr. Dudley was over there speaking. And I don't know what that means. I'm trying to sell them some insurance, right? My guys were, so I got invited over there. And then they bring in this Joe Dudley. He gets up there and he tells his story. When he tells his story, I'm like, that's who I've been looking for. That's what. I'm doing really well at that point now. So, but I'm still intrigued by this personality, by this person, by what he's done. You know, labeled mentally retarded, told me about his upbringing. I'm like, boy, I was poor and young, but I get it. And then I got a chance to meet him, and then we kind of synced pretty fast. Had to, because I'm looking at, as far as I'm concerned, this is Jesus, man. I've been looking for you for a long time, man. So we got to talking.
How old were you at the time, roughly around that time? What's the age?
31, 32.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I was doing extremely well at that time. So he said, he told the story of Mr. Fuller about the bus company and that kind of thing. That made so much sense to me. And he said, in order for us to, to achieve what we want to achieve, for people and for our country, for that matter, we need to all be doing what we do. He said, don't you drop doing what you're doing. You got something going on. You do that over there. I do that over here. We come together. We share ideas. We help each other. I'm like, well, I'm telling you right now, I'll drop this and go with you. He said, no. You just keep doing that, and I'm going to keep doing this. And we need people in every area. And I said, okay, so that's what we. So he called me up a few times. He wanted me to help him on with a couple of these politicians, and so every time he called me, I'm always there, because I'm looking at someone that I absolutely admire to a visceral level, very deeply, because of his background, because he's, I started looking for that man right after high school, and didn't find him until then. Yep.
Wow, beautiful, Charlie.
And we still, I talk to him several times a week now.
Is that right?
Oh yeah.
That's beautiful. So you then walk us through the transition of when you decided, because you're still in insurance, you said that's going to always be a part of your life and existence to some degree, but you developed these amazing skills to be a leader, to be a CEO, to run a business, to develop people, and develop talent. But you also learned how to see an opportunity, how to be able to perhaps, I don't want to put words in your mouth, see something that maybe others would not be able to see, and be able to take advantage of that higher vision, that third eye of being able to see something and say, you know what? I think looking at the trends and where things are going, I think this is a space that not only can make some money, but knowing who you are, this can really help a lot of people. So I'm looking at characteristics, I'm looking at my guardian God, and I'm saying to myself now, well, who else but Charlie can do this? This is who he is, because it's about caring for people, giving back to people, giving them something that they can afford, people who are struggling. It's love. It's love. And so you were perfect to do this. The question is, how did it come about? And a deeper question would be, why?
Well, if you look at the organization that we built in insurance. My personal motivation began just from this love for my mother and wanting, so I learned how to work, learn how to do the right thing, because I didn't want to bring no drama home. I got to do it right. All right. So I got sick once. I was in my early 20s. The doctors couldn't tell me what it was and all of that. And I was out for 5 months. And this is after I really started making money, right? And so when I went down, I wasn't making any money. So I still had the dream of, I hadn't bought my mother a house or any of that. So I'm like, wait a minute. If I buy my mother a house, or if I get a big car or a big lifestyle, or if I just decide that I want to help people in charity and this kind of thing, then, just basically support a charity. If I go down again, I can't do that. They'll come and take my mother's house and put her out. So I can't, so I knew I wasn't going to do anything that would get me in trouble, so because if you go to jail, same thing happens. Somebody come in and take your house. So getting sick, going to jail and that kind of thing, doing stupid stuff, I couldn't do that. So when you say, how do you get there? So I knew what could I do, and I had been exposed to Amway and that network marketing thing. So how could I? So I wanted to figure out how could I apply that. I didn't know anybody else that was doing it. Make a long story short, because of that fear, of that concern. Just like other people wanted to be something special, and I think in God's eyes, and then their mama's eyes, their parents' eyes. I thought that it would be the same case with, they'd see that if they got sick or hurt and they couldn't work, if they got nice things for themselves or their family, that their mother would get put out of the house, their kids would get put out of the house, so you gotta come up with some kind of way to stabilize it. And that means that we need to work together, right? So ending the cycle of poverty, first was ending the cycle of poverty, and then I got to the wealth gap, bridging the wealth gap. I thought that we had to do a couple things. Improve the image of African Americans, particularly the black guys, so that's why we dress a certain way, that's why we don't lie, we don't cheat, we don't steal, we don't take unfair advantage of anybody, we don't engage in any transaction that does not benefit all that whom it affects. We cause others to believe in us or in myself because of my willingness to believe in them. So the bottom line is that it was all about other people. It's like they're going to want to do this too because the mission and of course the fruit or the benefit is important. When I looked at the health thing, all I was looking for over there was a way for our guys to diversify. At first, I was just looking for the ways to diversify their income so that other streams of income. Because unlike me, most guys weren't able to recruit. So they're just doing personal production. They live from paycheck to paycheck, year after year, decade after decade. And that's a recipe for disaster. So I've been constantly for 20-something years looking for other ways that large numbers of people could benefit. It's extremely important to me that whatever I'm going after has a benefit that touches me. For the life insurance, that was a no-brainer for me. I mean, my God, you gotta do that. Once I saw what life insurance could do in terms of bridging the wealth gap, I was all over it. I'm still not through with that. I may go back to that. When I saw the health thing, I got in this deal. We went to, had to get the the money, so we went into the capital markets. We set up a public company, and we were nearly $400,000 after a couple of years. And then we had some setbacks. You know, the industry changed on us. During that period, you know, things got a little bit tight, and actually I wasn't doing the day-to-day stuff. So I always think that you should be. I wanted to build something that lasted, build a business to last. And I know in order to build anything long term, whether it's a man or a business or whatever, you have to. For me, I think I have to invoke the spiritual principles. It's more like, you know, what is the divine purpose. You don't have to say divine if you don't want to, but why does this thing exist? What is its highest and best good? What's its purpose? You know, so I'm looking at CareClix, and myself for that matter, and I'm like, I couldn't put my finger on this thing. I was like, what, you know, because once you get on the one, once you figure that thing out, man, and you put a plan together for it, then it gets real for you. I mean, you get the strength and the power you need to go through the things you need to go through. Because it's not gonna be easy selling. I don't care who you are. So as I looked at CareClix, wondering, and I gave the guys books. Like, we need to figure out who CareClix is, what CareClix is, why was it created? You know, you hear people say all the time, everything happens for a reason. There's a purpose for everything under the sun. Okay, what is the purpose of CareClix? And I'm like, you know, I'm not feeling this at all. Then I saw this article or newspaper with this black woman, it's an incredible woman apparently, went to the doctor, and she was pregnant. And her husband, she had a husband and two other little boys, and she was pregnant. And she was asking the doctors, hey, I've got this, something's wrong, I need this, and apparently they weren't paying that much attention to her. To make a long story short, she ends up, you know, dead. And those two little boys and that father don't have their mother coming home. I can remember when my mother was in the hospital, I remember how horrible that felt. And that thing touched me, man. Like, I mean, I think I spent a whole summer just crying every time I even talked about it. And so these are the kinds of things that you look for. These are messages from the universe, or from God, if you would. And so I'm like, I know there's something here, because I wouldn't be feeling like this, right? So, but what do I do with it? And so these people need an advocate. But who could be an advocate? Who could help them? If Serena Williams can't get the doctor to do, you know, what she needs done, what can an average person do? And so, wait a minute, I'm in a position where I have all these doctors. If one of our doctors was available to her or her husband, and they called them or texted them, whatever, they could see in the medical world, doctors are king. I mean, they have all of the power. Now, you may have noticed that they're being, you know, bought up by, you know, big companies and all, but at the end of the day, if you can have a situation where you have a doctor that is compassionate, that treats you like you're a friend or whatever, and will answer your questions and look out for you, that's about the best thing you can hope for. So as I looked at that situation there, I'm like, in order for us to have any chance of preventing those kinds of things from happening, we have to do something, and in my opinion, that is having a guardian or guidance from a doctor for every person, every household, and but it has to be, you know, affordable. And so, as I looked at what would be how we can make it affordable, That's not complicated. So we did the household subscription. At a certain level, those subscriptions will pay the doctors and pay for the system that takes care of the average little person. Even the poorest people can afford the $27 a month and have the benefit of a compassionate doctor guiding them in the healthcare system. I also found out that guidance was not reimbursable. So that's a scary thing. I had a guidance program or a direct care program. It was $6,000 a year for each person. There are some now that are not, there's a couple still out there, but the vast majority of people, I mean, probably only about 1 million people have a organized guidance package program, like what we have. Almost no one is doing it now. The large companies are coming in, they're doing urgent care. But it is the guidance that we need. Now, I know that you're I guess the word would be, you love the people that look like you and you want to help them a lot. But let me tell you, when I found out that people that look like you, or me, for that matter, are disproportionately, getting horrible outcomes, I thought, we really need to do something about this. And I think that my guardian doc is probably the pinnacle, the absolute best thing that anybody can possibly do, whether you're rich or you're poor as we were. It's probably but the best thing that you can do that would increase your chances of having a good outcome, and then the outcome cost ratio is, it doesn't get any better. I think we're number one there. But the most important thing is that by having that doctor that is designated to you, you can raise how should I say this? The whole healthcare system, as far as our subscribers are concerned, the outcomes are going to be categorically better across the board for having that doctor with you everywhere you go, 24/7. So now as you go into a system where, if you're an African American, just based on the information that we have, your likelihood of getting, let me put it like this, they just don't take as much time and talk to you quite as much as they would with other people. That's just what we found. That's just facts. I'm not making up anything. That's just the facts of it. But when you've got a guardian doctor, when you've got your own doctor here, whether they do it or not, it doesn't matter. Because you can call your doc. It ain't but $30, and they will guide you through that whole process. Your chances of going home, having better outcomes, just went up significantly. I like the idea. I think every household in this country needs it. Black, white, every household. It doesn't matter what you already have. Well, I've got insurance, I've got telemedicine, I've just got Amazon, I've got all this. It doesn't matter. If you're not well, let me tell you, the best thing that you can have is another set of trained eyes, but more importantly, someone that has compassion for you. So people may ask us, well, how do you train these guys to be compassionate? Well, we got the Patient Safety Character Council that was saying they'll be there guiding them and informing them. But we'll be looking for doctors, as we add more doctors, we'll be adding doctors that have already demonstrated that they have this level of compassion across backgrounds and across cultures. We're in 37 countries. CarePix is a perfect company because the docs have been dealing with every culture, every race anyway. So now all we're doing is taking it directly to the household instead of to business. Historically, CarePix has just been business to business. So this is our first foray into the direct-to-consumer market. If you may not have noticed, but huge big box online and offline companies are coming into this space. It is a huge space. It is absolutely imperative that companies like ours succeed. They will do well if people support it, which they are. And I think people need to understand that that $27 is not only going to help you, but it'll help everybody else. And your $27 is not enough for us to bring this to you. That is not enough money. The $30 that you pay for the doctor, that is not enough money. The way we're able to bring the price down that low and to give the incredible service is because not everybody uses it at the same time. And it's an a la carte, on-demand model. So it's called people helping people. So
it's kind of like insurance in a sense, is it not?
well, I don't want to say that it's like insurance because insurance is a highly regulated industry. I would say that the concept of the many, looking out for the few, unfortunate, in that respect, perhaps it is.
I love that. I love that. You know, the other thing I love about the philosophy of My Guardian Doc is it reminds me of back in the day, you know, when doctors came to your home, you know, you had a personal relationship with your doctor. It wasn't the way it is now when you go in, God forbid, to the hospital or whatever, and you know, you're never going to see the same person twice. I really like this personal one-on-one experience that people are getting, and they're getting at their most vulnerable time in their life. And, you know, I wish I had have known of this, you know, when I was 52. And it would have been nice to have a doctor that I could call, talk to, and have my needs met. So what you're doing is absolutely amazing. And I remember, you know, I know you don't like to talk about money, but you built this thing up to a record level. And the more, so the question is how can we help you? How can the community help you? Where do we go? Do we go to myguardiandoc.com or do we go to careflix.com? Where do we go to sign up and get more information on this?
MyGuardianDoc.com is where you want to go for the household subscription. It's not complicated at all. It's very affordable. And the other thing that you can do if you want to help and help yourself is to sign up as an affiliate. As an affiliate, we pay probably one of the highest commissions in the industry, and you can zero out your costs. But more importantly, you can spread the word and help other people. It's a pretty sad thing when you find out that somebody may have passed or was permanently disabled. When if they had just been a little bit more proactive, which I think this is proactive self-help or self-health, and everybody should do it. So those are the two things: sign up as an affiliate and as a subscriber, and then tell other people about it, because that's how you get to the point where you've got a system, an organization that takes care of you. It's possible for this to be a huge organization with all kinds of incredible benefits that anybody can afford. If you see some of the things we have on the drawing board, actually not on the drawing board, they'll be coming soon, like remote vitals tracking, where you can track your parents or yourself, your blood pressure, your glucose, your weight, oxygen. There are several other things, and then the hospital negotiation. Even if you have insurance, whatever, we negotiate the deal, show you where the best places are to get your surgery if you need it. The differences in pricing can be huge, and for instance, one hospital for the same thing could charge you $7,000, another hospital charge you $70,000. Now, I don't need to tell you that if you're selling some real estate and you get a appraisal, or if you're buying a house and you get, buying a car and you want to, if you're black, African American, if you want to, the stories are already out there. The mass media already told you. You know, your appraisal probably ain't gonna be what it should have been. They're gonna sell you a car because of that. Our job here, as you would say, is to make sure that you are treated equitably, fairly, that you get treated just like anybody else, and that it's safe. The safety is in having that doctor that you have the guidance from. That's where your safety is. The other thing is that if you own a business, CareClix is B2B. So we can come in and take care of your virtual stuff. If you're a doctor, you can add CareClix or My Guardian Doc, and we'll take care of your patients at night. If you see the benefit of them having My Guardian Doc, we can contact all of those patients, and you can have a residual income that allows you to stay in practice. So now you're in your practice pretty comfortably at night when you won't be enjoying your life. Our doctors, who are all helping each other and helping you, will take over your clients, your patients. So instead of just having them run down to the emergency room, our doctors can take care of that. All they need to do is know that is the case. And so, our SAS program, even people that are veterinarians or people that are in health coaches and this kind of thing, can use our platform to communicate with their patients. And that's how you can help. At some point, we can talk some more about the potential of investing in the business. If you're a sophisticated or accredited investor, we can have someone contact you.
Fantastic. Wow. You have done well. We're going to call, we can literally call you Uncle Charlie.
No. Call me Mr. Chuck. That's what, where I come from, that's what they used to call the police.
Mr. Charlie, wow.
As a matter of fact, my biological father was a county sheriff, deputy sheriff.
I'm going to have you come back because there's so many more stories to tell. But what I'm excited about is getting this information out because we have a large audience of elders
Oh my goodness.
around the world, and we're pretty much in every country, and this is a game changer because we particularly after 2020 and what happened, it was the young people and the elderly people that suffered the most because they had nowhere to go, they had no advocates, and this is something that I think can save some lives, but not only save some lives, I believe this will also improve quality of life because it's nothing like peace of mind.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
You got it.
Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. That's man, if you got peace of mind, you're gonna live longer.
Absolutely.
I think. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I concur. So myguardiandoc.com, I'm going to have that in the description family below.
Okay.
So click those links on and go sign up. You can't lose the stuff that Mr. Charlie uses, right?
That's impossible.
$27 a month, which is more than you pay for coffee during the course of a month.
let me interrupt you. That's $27 for everyone in the household. If it's 10 people in the household, it's $27. Doesn't matter how many people.
It's not per person, it's per household?
It's per household.
My goodness. Oh, okay. All right, Mr. Charlie. I found out. This is amazing, and thank you for this.
One other thing that I probably ought to mention, Dr. Shaw, and that is, no matter where you are in the world, if you're one of our subscribers, our doctors are allowed to give you medical guidance. They may not be able to treat you. One of our 30 countries that at some point, we're not in all of those countries for My Guardian Doc. We're just starting here in the U.S. So My Guardian Doc is fairly new. It's only a few months old. So we'll get to these other countries in due season. But right now, if there's anyone in another country in hearing range of my voice that hears me speaking, you can go to My Guardian Doc. You can become a subscriber, and we can provide you with guidance from a U.S. Doctor.
Absolutely incredible. All right, my brother, this is the point in time when we give thanks to Amma and the ancestors. Amma is the first word that the African used to represent and speak to their divine. God was the word that later came from, it's a Germanic word. Of course, I'm a research scientist, so social sciences and linguistics, anthropology, and archaeology is my thing. So we use the frequency and the vibration of Amma. We give thanks to Amma and the ancestors for brother Mr. Charlie Scott and being able, a black man that loves his mother, loves his family, kept his promise to his mother, to his family, kept his promise and his word, which means something. He kept his word to his friends, to his family. He is a loyal man. We give thanks for him and the ancestors. And we look at this man and we say, okay, this now is a role model. Not just for our children, but for us too. We've all made mistakes and we're all going through it. We're all growing through it. But we need to know what and who a Charlie Scott is so that we can have an example of greatness, an example of what it means to be a man, what it means to be a loving man, what it means to be an honest man that loves his family and loves his people. So in the name, nature, and consciousness of Amma, we repeat these words of power. I am one with first frequency.
Say it one more time, please.
I am one with first frequency.
I am one with first frequency.
I am one with the first thought idea.
I am one with the first thought idea.
I am one with the firstborn people.
I am one with the firstborn people.
I am one with the only one.
I am one with the only one.
Ashe. And so it is. Thank you, my brother. Stick around within the green room as we sign off. Community, myguardiandoc.com. The link is below. The link will also be in the chat. Make it happen. We'll have Mr. Charlie back again soon.
I can't wait to come back. Look forward to it. Now that I know what I'm gonna be in store for, I'll be okay.
It's gonna be a shock. You're gonna be with the shock.
Yeah, I'll be good. I'll be good. This is fun. This was fun. Thank you. I haven't had to.
I love it.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Take care, my friends. Take care. We'll see you next time. Grand Rising.
Very nice.
Recording stopped.
That was wonderful, sir. See, that's why I couldn't have done this. It couldn't have gotten that.
No, you would.
Here's a story.
Yeah. In the store.
gonna cut that heat off?
Yeah. Marcus said, this guy is like a